All right, I'm back. I tell you, don't panic. When YouTube is up, when Facebook is up, YouTube is down. When Facebook is down, YouTube is up. Okay, we just have to bear with it. Okay, we just have to bear with it. I'll give you a chance to load back in. I'll give you a chance to load back in. Yeah. It's just it. Well, no, it's just the energy. And I live in the bush. I live in the bushes. So while everybody's loading back in, let me tell you about Billy. Billy is my turtle. And I've been noticing that Billy has not been, he just wasn't eating, he wasn't swimming, he wasn't doing anything. And he had this limp. So about a month ago, I took him to the PetSmart, to the doctor. And they said they couldn't see him because he wasn't essential during the pandemic. They were only going to see dogs and cats. So, I just did what I knew how to do. But he was really having a hard time last week. So I took him to, my godson actually took him to the aquatic vet for me. And poor Billy has pneumonia. Okay. Billy has pneumonia. Billy has a calcium deficiency. And Billy has some strangeness going on in his eye. Now, you remember I rescued Billy. So he wasn't really a pet. He became a pet. So in order to nurture him back to health, they gave me this stuff. I was going to have to give him 3 shots a day of this stuff. And he had to be in a tank. And he had to have a light. And then I said, listen, I got a puppy. I can't do the puppy and the turtle. Okay. Yeah, maybe Billy got the COVID. I don't know. And so I left him with my godson, and we were just going to put him in the, park where there's like a turtle pond, but I was afraid. So, yeah, he had light. I don't know what happened. I don't know. Maybe he did what he needed to do. And so we're going to take him. There's a turtle rescue in Long Island. I'm frozen on Facebook. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Listen, chat is down, but I'm here. Okay. Facebook looks like it's moving to me. Is it moving or not moving? Yep, froze on Facebook, transferred over, but burning up on YouTube. I just listen. I'm going to do the lesson, and we will put it together, and we'll put it up, okay? I don't know what else to do. I don't. Can you please sit down with Trump? Oh, hell no. First of all, he's got to want to do it. Why does the cost work? Which cost? Okay. Good morning. Hey, Sister Jenna. You're fine on Facebook. Okay. So let me say, welcome to Sacred Saturday. It's sacred because this is the time that we work on ourselves. And I've got a lesson that I want to share with you, a little growing, healing lesson. I was really a little hesitant about presenting this lesson because of the nature of it. And I know that we don't all know the same thing and think the same thing, but I want to speak to you today about turning rocks into roses. Rocks, I mean the hard places, the difficulties, the challenges. I received some insights last night that were confirmed this morning, both astrologically and by one of my trusted teachers, okay? One of my teachers and mentors. You get an insight and then you're saying, okay. But then when somebody calls you and says the very thing to you that you was thinking, that's it. So here's what I want to share with you this morning. Universally, the purpose of the COVID virus was to stop us in our tracks. The stay-home order was the way that the universe created to halt the forward movement in order for things that had been swept under the carpet, denied, ignored, things that had been avoided, things that had been accommodated, things that had been tolerated, for those things to be brought up and out and dealt with in truth. That's why this thing happened. Now, this applies to both us as individuals and to the collective of humanity. Individually, beloveds, we are being called to look at and own our own stuff, to pick up our rocks and examine them, and to tell the truth about them, our habits, our beliefs. That's what I mean when I say rocks. I'm talking about the hard places in our hearts and in our minds and in our lives. Collectively, we are being called to look at the systems, the structures, the conditions that have been denied again and again and again, swept under the rug. I mean, can you imagine for the first time in probably the history of this country, of this nation, people could not go to church or temple or mosque? We could not go outside of ourselves to find God, creator, source. The universe was saying, go in now. Because many of us didn't get the message. There will be swift repercussions. I'm telling you. I think we may be seeing it now. This is not a prediction. This is just what's happening in the universe. There will be evidence presented that cannot be ignored any longer. Systems and structures and ways of being are going to be eliminated. White male domination and superiority, racial imbalance and injustice, economic greed and mismanagement, and most of all, fear and ignorance must be dismantled. Codependence and lack of accountability, all of it, it's being reordered. If you recall early in the antiviral process, I gave you the prosperity game. Come on, let's do this. It's coming down. The systems that hold injustices and imbalances and inhumanities in place, including individual and collective beliefs and denials and programs and patterns and conditions and practices. Collective and individual. I'm sure that you can recognize that in the events of the past few days. We cannot ignore it anymore. And us old program people who just sitting around, clucking our teeth and talking and being upset and being depressed, the youngin said, hashtag enough. Why are they destroying property? Because we've taught them to be materialistic. We taught them that. We taught them to value things over character. We taught them they didn't have to be accountable for their behavior, because we're not accountable for our behavior. Okay? So it's coming down, it's changing. And COVID was saying, go in, go in, go in. And we sat around being scared of the virus. Okay? I want to present this information in a way that we all can hear it. Okay? This is about what's going on in the universe. It's about energy. All right? Some would call it astrology, but because I know there are many who are afraid of astrology. People have been taught that it's bad and it's wrong. We've been programmed to believe that the movement of the heavens, the movement of the planets, is somehow bad. That's okay. It's not bad, it's not evil, but I want to present this information in a way that doesn't offend our sensibilities, because this is important. I want to present it in a way that you can hear it and receive it. So I'm going to name the planets for those who understand, but I'm also going to speak about this as a form of energy, okay? So that everybody can hear it, all right? There are 5 planets retrograde right now. That means 5 planets are moving backwards. This means that there are 5 powerful energies in life that are moving backwards. For those who don't believe in astrology, don't think of planets, think of energy. Now, Mercury is the planet that governs communication, mental functions, the intellect, clarity, and creative thoughts. That energy is going backwards right now. All right? This means it's about to get real intense. Now, why is this happening? Because we got to grow. And growth is a process that never ends, beloveds. You don't get it and then have it and that's it. Just when you think that you've finally gotten the hang of it, life throws another curveball and you realize that you've still got a long way to go. Yeah? Despite how frustrating that is, because it's frustrating and it leads us to think that we did something wrong or we're not doing something right. But it's these challenges that force us to grow that make life interesting, okay? Can you imagine a story that don't have no conflict, no climatic points in it? That would be incredibly boring, okay? Just like how we were bored sitting home for 2 months, all right? Well, in the story of life right now, you're the lead character, okay? And the universe is sending energy that way that will shake you up to wake you up. That's what's going on. Now, the energy of growth and expansion, or the planet Jupiter, that rules the sign of Sagittarius. Listen, it also rules the liver, the lungs, the veins, the blood, and all of the internal organs. I want to say that again. The energy of growth and expansion, the planet Jupiter, that rules Sagittarius and governs liver, lungs, blood vessels, and all internal organs, is moving backwards. It began to move backwards on March 8th, and it will go forward again on July 10th. This universal energy, it's about expansion, it's about revelation, it's about insight. But when that energy is moving backwards, when Jupiter is in retrograde, this energy is cutting down barriers that have been holding you back, us back. Now, when we become afraid and fear, the human mind will construct imaginary barriers or lines that we refuse to cross. Now, you might be afraid of the unknown. You might be afraid of taking a step outside of your comfort zone, okay? But when this energy, when Jupiter is moving backwards, you will be forced to do some deep introspection that will reveal the answers that you've been searching for outside. So here's the question. You can answer it in the thread if you like. What is the line you've been afraid to cross in your life, in the world, okay? What is the mental and emotional barrier that you've been afraid to challenge or tear down? I can't, I don't have money, I'm too old, I don't know how, Jupiter is saying, get up off that. Here's another energy, Saturn. The energy that rules limitations and routines and authority and responsibility, Saturn. That rules the astrological sign of Capricorn. It's moving backwards. Now, this is the energy that gives us the ability to maintain discipline and carry out responsibilities. And Saturn, or this universal energy, has been moving backwards since April 17th. Capricorn, or Saturn, is giving us the opportunity to come to grips with the mistakes we've made in the past by facing the consequences of those mistakes, which is what our reading was saying this morning. This energy is demanding us that we learn how to rise above who you have been and erect new personal values that are more productive, a more productive work ethic, a more productive outlook, so that you become a mature adult. This energy is essentially, this Saturn energy says you are in a spiritual boot camp right now. Now here's the question Saturn wants you to answer. What mistakes that you've made have been difficult for you to face? What poor choices, bad decisions, bad behaviors have you failed to acknowledge or resolve? That's what Saturn is asking you. Where is your shame, your guilt about something you've done in the past? Saturn is saying, look at this. That's what this energy is saying. Okay? And you can put your thoughts in the thread if you like. If you like. It's just energy. You know, we're often told to hide our shadow, okay? To lie about our real feelings and to put on a very composed face as we go into the world. But the energy of Pluto that rules the sign of Scorpio, that universal energy started moving backwards on April 22nd, and that energy is revealing your shadows, the parts of you that you have disowned. What have you learned about yourself since we've been home? The part of you that you've denied. Pluto, this energy is calling all of your ugly to the surface. And this will not be pretty. And it's time. Pluto is saying it's time to look at your darkness. And until this energy goes back forward on September 30th, we are learning about our darkness so that we understand that without darkness, there can be no light. So here's the question. What is your ugly? Does it have a name? What does your ugly do? How does your ugly act? And how do you engage your ugly? Do you justify it? You can put your thoughts in the thread if you like. What is your ugly? Okay? Everybody got an ugly. I'm guessing this is not biblical. Absolutely it is biblical. Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. Know thyself. To thine own self be true. You go look up in Isaiah. All right? It's there. Now, it's easy to escape your problems by creating magical thinking, you know, a fantasy world. You know, the pain of life, avoiding it, living in your head so the pain can't reach you. However, when the fantasy becomes an addiction, when you refuse to take responsibility or deal with your reality, you got to heal. Now, Neptune, that's the energy, the planet that rules Pisces, started moving backwards on June 18th, 2019. The goal was to invite us to wake up and look at reality individually and collectively, because Neptune rules illusions and the imagination and the subconscious mind. Okay? So between now and June 18th and November, we are going to come face to face with the realities that we would rather avoid about ourselves and in the world. And if you look and you can see this is starting to happen already. So here's the question. What's the reality in your life about yourself that you've been avoiding, refusing to look at? All right? Finally, Mars, the energy of war and aggression. The Mars that rules the astrological sign of Aries. But it's a universal energy. It began going backwards on June 26, 2019. And this energy rules over our animalistic nature that drives us, but it also provides us with motivation. This energy gives us power over our sex life and the raw emotions that simmer right beneath our surface that we cover with a smile just to stay calm. Now, without this energy, without this universal energy or the energy of Mars, we'd never feel inspired. We'd never be motivated. However, right now, Mars is in retrograde. So motivation and inspiration, it's not easy to find right now. And the fire, the energy, the passion that usually helps us move confidently through something, it's not there. So for this reason, it's important that you take a look at how you use your personal will. Do you deny it, diminish it, ignore it? Because the energy of Mars, the energy in the universe of motivation and will is saying you got to create some new ways to accomplish your goals. So the question is, how do you plan to get what you desire? How do you plan? You know, are you willing to push past the mistakes that you made? Or are you going to let mistakes stop you? Are you going to live in fantasy land, staying stuck? Are you refusing to move? What are you avoiding, denying, ignoring, refusing to look at? And like I said, I can speak to it in terms of planets and astrology, or I can think to it in terms of consciousness. And all of this is why the coronavirus is present, why it sent us home. And here we are scratching, trying to get back out into the world without doing the work. We want to rush back into what's familiar, what's comfortable. We want everything to go back to normal, doing what we used to do. And the universe is saying, hold up, I'll pump your brakes, okay? You ain't done yet. I have said many, many times that this is a very sacred and a very important time for everyone. However, if we don't take the clues, take the time to do the work, it is not going to turn out well for us. It's not. So I want to encourage you to get your journal, to rewatch this broadcast, and answer those questions. And if you think it's not biblical, I'm telling you, get up in Isaiah. And if you want to do it in the New Testament, then you can get into Galatians. And it tells you, it's in Acts, it's in Galatians, yeah? About how we have to change. We must begin within. We keep trying to do everything in the world and keep ourselves as victims. Just look at what's happening. You know, when you are pregnant, you can't see the baby. You can't see the sperm when it meets the egg. You can't see that become a zygote. And you can't see the zygote when it becomes an embryo. And you can't see the embryo when it becomes the being. All of that stuff is done under the surface. It's done in secret. It's done in silence. It's done. Why do we think that with everything we're living on, that we know everything that's going on? And there's a different level of awareness and discernment. I'm not asking you to bow down and worship the planets. I'm asking you to understand the universe, the energy that's on the universe right now. And if you're not ready to do that, that's fine too, you know. But you know what? People read the Bible and they believe. I love the Bible. I'm a student of the Bible, okay? But I don't need the Bible to find God. And I don't need to go to church to find Jesus. And all of this time that we've been home, people are freaking out because they can't go to church. That's about fellowship and community. That's not about finding God. Jesus ain't in the church. And that's part of the programming, that we need something outside of ourselves. I'm not denouncing church. I got a home church. I got a pastor. I got all of that. But I don't need none of it to find God. Jesus walks with me. Now, if yours is over in Mount Zion, I'm sorry for you. All right? We got to reprogram this stuff. Never in the history of this nation have people not been able to go to church. People go to church when there's 26 inches of snow on the ground. Okay? Why do you think that happened? Go in, stay in, begin within, not out. If you think you got to go to church to find your Lord, that's a problem. But that's how they've programmed us to think it, okay? I believe that this is the reason that I've been called and that spiritual warriors are being called to rise up. Yeah? Spiritual warriors are people who are committed to doing the inner work required, the inner work required to eliminate ignorance and fear and suffering. Spiritual warriors are committed to doing work in the world in a different way. The different way. It's not for personal gain. It's not for wealth. It's not for fame. The new way we have to work in the world is to eliminate suffering, domination, and superiority. It's got to shift. Male domination and imbalance must end. Injustice must end. Racism must end. Corporate greed must end. Inequitable distribution and use of resources must end. And in order for these things to end, we must shift as individuals. We can't keep trying to change or heal the world until we change ourselves. You cannot eliminate ignorance if you've got unforgiveness in your heart. You can't change systems and structures and conditions and beliefs and behaviors in the world if you can't even control your temper with your sister. You got to heal and transform ourselves so that we can see differently, hear differently, speak differently, live differently, and not be reactive. Hashtag enough. Hashtag time to change. Hashtag no more. Hashtag the time is now. And we breathe. Again, I want to encourage you. Get your journal and go back and listen to this broadcast again. Learn to hear it in your body, not just in your head. All right? We've got to shift. And you don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to shift. You can continue doing what you're doing the way you're doing it and suffer. Because they're not playing with us no more. And when I say they, I mean the universe, the energy that we live in. Okay, I'm 4 minutes over. Listen, Thursday will be our last spiritual spa until September. I thought we were going to be out in the world. People were going to be on vacation and stuff. So I didn't schedule any spiritual spas for July and August, but we'll see. Anyway, on Thursday in Spiritual Spa, we'll really be looking at what it means to be a spiritual warrior. The 4 foundations of spiritual warrior training and the journey. Now, I'm doing a formal training, but everybody can't do that. So if you're on the mailing list, you'll get an invitation to the Spiritual Spa. And if you're not on the mailing list and you want to attend the Spiritual Spa, you can sign up at Iyanla.com. Just sign up for the mailing list and you'll get it, all right? Now, the formal Spiritual Warrior training begins on June 14th. And I was able to increase my platform so that I can take on more people. So if you want to do the actual training, you can submit an application. Now listen, it starts on June 14th, but there'll be an orientation on June 11th from 8 to 9:30 Eastern Central Time. So if you want to apply for the training, please mark those dates because you have to be present for all the live trainings, all right? So we're going to put the link for the Spiritual Warrior application at the top of the page, okay? Yeah, but you can't say Lord of Karma. You can't say that. Now, registration for the Spiritual Warrior training will be on, wait a minute. I sent you an email. I'm 19. Yes, I was looking for you. Mariah, Memoirs of Mariah. Send it again because I asked my assistant and she said she didn't get it. Okay? So Mariah, Memoirs of Mariah, that 19-year-old. I have your scholarship. Okay? Registration for the Spiritual Warriors program, the last you can pay is at 3 p.m. on June 11th, which means after 3 p.m. on June 11th, we can't accept any more applications because there's things you have to do to get ready. You're going into training, like boot camp, okay? So I don't want you to be rushing and hysterical at the last minute. So, and let me just say this to you, because I know there's time, it's hard, people's thing, I have to charge you because I've got to set it up. I've got lots of stuff to do. But if you really are a spiritual warrior, money shouldn't keep you from being there. You can create the money. Oh, absolutely. And if money backs you up and, I want to, but I don't have the money, then you ain't a spiritual warrior. Okay? Because you need to be able to create it. What if what if you call 10 people and said, this is what I want for Christmas, but I need you to pay for it now. $29. Get 10 people to give you $29. And then you won't have nothing left. So get 12 people. Be creative. What can you do to call it in? Because as spiritual warriors, that's what we have to do. You can't sit around waiting for it to come. How can you create it? What can you do? What can you create? What can you sell? What can you repurpose? What can you do so that you can have the financial means to make this commitment in yourself? Because if money is going to stop you from stepping into your purpose, then you ain't ready, all right? And some people may not be ready for spiritual warriors. They may need personal development. So go on over to Intervisions and look at the personal development program, okay? I want to remind you again about the meditation app called the Prana Heart Health Journeys. I talked about it a number of weeks ago, but it has meditations to address fear, anxiety, stress, and a bunch of other things for adults and children. Because with what's going on right now, we need it, all right? Remember, you must be ruthless and vigilant about having dominion over your mind, right? Self-reflection and stillness and meditation are the ways that you get dominion of your mind, and they're tools that'll help you develop it. We can't keep looking outside anymore. And let me tell you, we can't be dependent only on pharmaceuticals, all right? We can't. Tonight, Fear Not is on OWN at 9 p.m. My guest tonight is Dr. Steve Perry. Yeah. And we're talking about how parents discuss and deal with children around fear, okay? Around fear. So Dr. Steve Perry, he's a hoot. I love him. That's my brother. I love him. Tomorrow, Love from a Distance, the podcast that I do with Tina Lifford, will be on at 7 p.m. And our guests are going to be 3 young women. Melody how do you say it? Sanai. She just married one of the guys from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Now listen, she is the first woman to own a storefront on Hollywood's Fairfax Avenue. I don't know if you know what Fairfax Avenue is in Hollywood. And she's also the only woman to ever design a pair of shoes for Air Jordan, okay? So her segment, we're going to talk about power and manifestation and mindfulness, how to address your overcoming your fears, and how to manifest your desires, and also the fear of sharing your gifts and being big in the world. And the other two guests, one is Jewel Burke Solomon. I don't know if you know who Jewel Burke Solomon is. She is heads up Google's startup program, and she's the first woman. And also Arlen Hamilton. Arlen Hamilton is like, I don't know, 30-something. She has a venture capital firm. And they're going to talk to us about the mental and emotional pain of leadership, because all of us want to step out, and it takes a lot. So that's Love from a Distance. That's Sunday at 7. We'll put the link for registration at the top of the page. So if you're thinking about planning a business, a new home, listen, hello people, can I just say this? I know I've been talking a long time. It's okay. All of us out here that own another business, you get the podcast by the link. It'll be in the thread, okay? We're thinking about businesses and stuff. Let me just say this. You got to come up with a new way of being, because things are not going to be the same. And listen, all of you people that own businesses, self-employed people who own a business, it may look rough, but I'm telling you, you're going to be okay. It's going to be okay. You stepped out of the matrix. You stepped out of the matrix long ago. And, punching the clock and working for somebody else. You stepped out into your dream, into your vision, right? And so the universe is not going to punish you for that. You may have to reorganize or restructure, but listen, you are going to be okay. You are, all right? So stop worrying. And that's what this time is about right now. So if you're thinking about starting a business, expanding a business, you don't want to miss Love from a Distance tomorrow. And again, we'll put the thread for registration in the thread. We'll put it. Okay, now June is Black History Month. So this month coming up on Love from a Distance, we're going to have Her. Do you love her? Okay. Rhapsody, Lettucey, Ziggy Marley. These are going to be some of our guests in June. Okay. So Love from a Distance every Sunday at 7 p.m. We'll put the link at the top, and you got to register, and then they'll send you the link to sign in. Okay, it's going to be exciting. So let me see what's going on. You out there? You hanging in? Yeah, people can't stay but so long. Now I know you want to get on about your Saturday. Let me see if I got any basic questions. Yeah, step out of the matrix, baby. Step out of the matrix. I haven't been in the matrix since, I don't even know. When did I step out of the matrix? I stopped practicing in 1988. 1988. Am I doing any internships? No, baby, I can't. And not now anyway, And I don't have a facility anymore. I gave up my facility because it's just too expensive. And a lot of people are going to do that. A lot of people are going to give up their facilities because of the rent and the overhead and the taxes, and we just can't. Yes. Does the orientation begin at 8 p.m. Central? It's 8 Eastern, 7 Central, and it'll be from 8 to 9:30 or 7 to 8:30 on the 11th. And then class actually starts on the 14th, and you got to have 6 consecutive Sundays. Okay, let me just say this. This ain't for wusses. This is not an entertainment opportunity. Well, we can't do Wonder Woman weekend because we can't touch nobody. I do know if you've been, you'll get a letter. You'll get a letter. We just sent out acceptance letters because I didn't know how many people I could take. Okay, so we just sent out the letters. And if you haven't heard, check in. Okay, if you want it and you haven't heard, check in. Okay, because I want you to, if you're willing enough to say, wait a minute, hold up, I put my application in, what's going? Oh, you got your acceptance letter. Good. All right. It's beautiful today, so let's get on about ourselves so we can get outside. I'm reading, our closing reading comes today from Comfortable with Uncertainty, 108 Teachings on Cultivating Fearlessness and Compassion by Pema Chodron. You know, Pema is one of my teachers. I love me some Pema Chodron. Okay. She says, obstacles as questions. All right. No, that's not what I'm reading. That's the wrong one. She says, be grateful to everyone. That's what Pema says. Be grateful to everyone is about making peace with the aspects of ourselves that we have rejected. Through doing that, we also make peace with the people we dislike. More to the point, being around people we dislike can be a catalyst for making friends with ourselves. If you were to make a list of the people you don't like, people you find obnoxious, threatening, or worthy of contempt, we would discover how much about those aspects of ourselves we can't face. If we were to come up with one word about each of the troublemakers in our lives, we would find ourselves with a list of descriptions about our own rejected qualities. We project these onto the outside world. The people who repel us unwittingly show us aspects of ourselves that we find unacceptable, which otherwise we could not see. Traditional teachings say it the other way. Other people trigger the karma that we haven't worked out. They mirror us and give us a chance to befriend all that ancient stuff that we've been carrying around like a backpack full of granite. Be grateful to everyone is a way of saying that we can learn from any situation, especially if we practice the slogan, be grateful to everyone, with awareness. The people and situations in our lives can remind us to catch the neurosis as the neurosis and to see where we have pulled the shades down, locked the door, and crawled under the covers rather than looking at ourselves. Comfortable with uncertainty. 108 teachings on cultivating fearlessness and compassion. Get about your Saturday. Deep bow. Deep bow of love to you. And as we move through next week, if things get hot, I'll come in and we'll process it out, okay? If not, I'll see you next Saturday. All right? Bye.